Hello, Methuselahs, and welcome back to Lives from the Tabletop. I am your host, Mikey Nofonts, and today am a post-production Mikey Nofonts because I messed up the last intro. So here we are today, without any further ado. In our video, we're going to be interviewing the brand new Prince of Cape Town. She is Skye Segal, and she is amazing. It was a pleasure to interview her, and also a really, really interesting discussion about a deck from the past, and we've ran a fine-tooth comb through that deck, and we've discovered some really, really interesting things about the decks from the past and how we can use those things to look at our decks today and see what lessons that we can learn. But also, if we can see where those decks started and where we are now, maybe we can also use that to project into the future, especially with the release of all of the new stuff as well. So do sit back and enjoy this video, and if you haven't already, do like and subscribe. It does really help the channel out so that you don't miss any more of the content. But enjoy the interview. Cheers. So Skye, welcome to Lives from the Tabletop. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks, and yourself, Mikey?
Yes, I'm feeling very good. I'm just really excited. This for me is part of the dream of this channel, to be honest, to meet new people, see members of the community, people who love VTES, but also people who love memeing as well, and people who love the gangrel as well in particular. So you are a particular bonus, and check that out, folks. The gangrel tattoo. Yes, Skye is representing. Stanislava. And so, yeah, it's great. So, yes, and there's the Alexandra as well.
This is Stani's sister from that time.
Exactly. So, Skye, would you do us a little favor? Just introduce yourself, your history playing VTES, how you got into it, and what you do in South Africa as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I've been playing very long. I mean, I was into Magic the Gathering, like a lot of us were, or are still concurrently, but no longer concurrently. I quit it. I started and quit. But then on the side, I started playing VTES, like way back in 1999 or so. And I was always the youngest person in the actual scene until I started teaching my friends who were like my age. But eventually I started coming to a few of the tournaments that they had at the card shop at the time called Outer Limits, and I would always get thrashed. I'd always be in that last table with two other Malkavian decks, and one would bleed and the other it would be bounced onto me, and then the next Malkavian would go, and I wouldn't have bouts because I'd rock up with a janky combat deck. That kind of was my style for the longest time, and I would kind of be known for combat decks until I eventually went to this one tournament with the powerboat bloats thingy-mabob, which you guys will see now, which proved to be, a little bit of a surprise for most of the people. But I bore in mind that there's actually a lot of combat around, so that's why there's 100 Majesties in there.
Well, this deck's actually got a quite an interesting name, isn't it? It's Turbo Toreador Crocodile. What's the name of the deck?
Oh my gosh, it just keeps changing. I called it Alexandra's Silver Tongue because it plays off change of target and Crocodile's Tongue and the older vampires with superior aspects and this kind of block deny tactic.
Yeah, and there's also quite a lot of vampire acceleration in the deck as well.
Yeah.
So
there has to be. There's
all
11
of that you
caps
can put
and
in
10 caps and stuff. Yeah.
Just that word turbo. I love that word turbo. I'm very much a fan of things like Zilla's Valley, Information Highway, but of course
and Dreams of the Sphinx.
Yeah, Dreams. Oh, dreamy dreams.
Yeah, I have my very own Sphinx. He's sleeping over there.
Brilliant.
It gives me dreams.
Oh, that's lovely. And so, before we get into your deck then, Skye, tell us a little bit about the scene in South Africa and, what your hopes are for it as well. And also, what's the meta like as well?
Okay, so there's two main cities in South Africa that actually have a VTES scene, and Johannesburg is a bit more active than us here in Cape Town. We have a bunch of play groups that kind of stick to themselves, that play in their own suburbs, and I have one of them. But around the corner from my house is a game shop, and occasionally when people do actually get off their butts or come out of torpor, we'll actually find games there. And like recently we had a seal deck tournament with
Oh,
the
cool.
third ed stuff. I don't know if I've got, like the
Yeah,
old
yeah.
Malkavian and Toreador. I think there was a Nosferatu deck with a beast in it. Anyway, and I
Yeah,
luckily
yeah.
won that. It was Fluke, but I won it. And that was also like a draft tournament. That was quite cool. And then before that, there were just socials and things like that. But thanks to
Mm.
Black Chantry, like breathing new unlife into our game,
I love
it
that.
was kind of like there was a bit of a shift in who was like organizing our events and stuff like that.
Mm.
And we used to have a yearly event at the Dragonfire, which was like a big gaming convention at the University of Cape Town, and
Mm.
that's actually where I got into the finals with that Toreador deck that
Yeah.
you're all about to see.
In
Um,
2009, yeah.
yeah, but they had it quite consistently, but
Mm.
unfortunately, it's kind of gone a bit dead, and lately things are a little bit dead. So right now, I'm not so proud of our scene, and I want to do something about it, especially now that I'm like speaking to the world.
Yeah. The
um,
world, all like
yeah.
200 of us who watch it. But if you
And
are watching, by the way, and you are a VTES player and you are from South Africa, then do get in touch with either myself or Skye via Facebook. And yeah, we would love to have more people just getting connected, getting together, and playing the game that we of course love a lot, right, Skye?
yeah, absolutely. No, I
Yeah,
would be
we
very
love it.
happy to bring people into the game, and I have in the past, and some have stuck and some have moved on. But a lot of people know the game. Like I bump into, like I've got a tattoo artist that did this tattoo,
Yeah,
for instance, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a box of Vampire: The Eternal Struggle from
nice.
way back that my friend gave me," and like he showed it to me, and
Yeah.
it's like, "There's anything rare in here?" And I'm like, not really." But
Oh, I was gonna say like you do like wonder if because we've obviously come from magic, but we've repented of that evil, obviously. But when someone says, "Oh, I've got an old box of magic cards," I'm like, immediately I'm thinking, is there a
oh
Black
god,
Lotus or
yeah.
you know,
No, that's another
um,
level.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it's hopefully gonna be a little bit of a catalyst. Skye is obviously you're very passionate about this game, and if you are around South Africa, help her out. Get down there.
Please.
You know, let's get that scene cracking again, and I want to see some Vitesse events. I want to see some entries into the tournament winning deck archive from in and
Yes,
around that scene. And to see
definitely.
more people getting involved. But let's have a look into the past now, Skye. With your deck from 2009. And so, yeah, tell us a little bit about this deck. And
Okay. So the way I had it way back then was, as you said, it's a turbo deck, as I said, as we said.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
means we have to rush out, preferably Alexandra. So ideally, I would put more Alexandras in here, but back in
mm,
the day, I only had two in my collection. So making up the
yeah,
ranks, we have these other guys like Annika and Francois Villon, and
mm,
Masika was like just an extra option there. And Anson is also great because it is kind of master heavy, but
yeah,
I would have probably put in at least four Alexandras if I actually had the copies,
yeah,
taken out maybe the Masika and one of the Francois Villons or something like
mm,
that. But the idea is if you can get Alexandra out, that's great because she can promote one extra action on a Toreador with her built in. So
yeah,
there's a little bit of a multi-act, and together with Majesty and Change of Target, you actually do get a bit of a multi-act going on. So the idea is you would bleed, and if it goes through, great. If it gets deflected, you can change of targets. If it gets
yeah,
blocked, you can Crocodile's Tongue and ask them not to block. They
mm,
decide to block and pay the cost of Crocodile's Tongue. Oh, change of target. Now you've whistled down their vampire a little bit.
yeah,
And then if you end up in combat, you can Majesty and untap, and then your follow-up action could be a kind resources.
mm,
So in the end, it could pack quite a punch. Obviously, it wasn't the most responsible bleeder, so archons were looming. and I think that could have actually been one of like 15 years ago, was a while ago. But I think I did suffer from an Archon investigation at one point.
Yes, I have very particular beef myself with that card.
Yeah. And again, Immortal Grapple kind of rush, but people didn't
Oof.
really bring that often to the tournaments. Like,
Yeah.
I think the tournament that I had all the way back then, we had a Garuhi deck. I don't know where that player is, but he had a very impressive deck, and I think he might have won the tournament with it, where he had an easy that got crazy big with runes and tons of multi-acts, and every piece of equipment in the archive was on him with Garuhi out of the lands. But anyway, like,
Yeah, nice.
and there were Malkavian decks. Like, one of my very great friends like spent his whole time just honing this one particular Malkavian bleed deck, and it was just the table hits. Like, everybody knew what he was bringing, and like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we've got to take that into account when we're building our decks. So I had deflections, rather telepathic misdirections in here to deal with that.
Yeah,
And
nice.
yeah, and otherwise some table talk skills, which always, can help.
Well, when you are a vote deck, you are inevitably going to have to talk to people, in the table, and as we can see here, we've got some of these crypt cards in focus. Alexandra, Francis Villon, we got Aneki and Anson. Anson's brilliant. I really like Anson. Obviously, with the advanced celerity there, is really good. But having two master phases instead of one, particularly in this deck, is
especially when
really
you're not
lovely.
running Verlaines and you're running 10 minion taps or 5 minion
because
taps.
Verlaine wasn't around, right?
So, I think it was around. I just didn't have copies. Like, I'm playing, this is true to my collection at the time.
When did Verlaine come out then?
I think it was in Kindred Most Wanted days.
Right, okay, well, fair enough. So,
yeah.
Speaking of master phases then, let's have a look at them. So, we've got Aching Beauty, Dreams of the Sphinx, Giant's Blood, Information Highway, this very famous minion tap, Pentex Subversion, Secure Haven, 4 Vessel as well, and 3 Zilla's Valleys. So, Skye, talk us through your choices of these.
Oh, sorry, my neighbors are being so loud right now.
No, don't worry. I can't really hear them.
Okay, great. So, all right. So the Aching Beauty fits into the whole Camarilla exemplary crocodile's tongue, followed up by a change of target thing. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I don't block you, I get a big bleed. If I do block you, I burn a pool anyway. I only had one Aching Beauty back then. Now I luckily have 2, because I think I got the other one in the anniversary 5 deck Camarilla thing.
Yeah.
I might have another one floating around actually nowadays, that I've actually got a job. Well, nice. Compared to back in the day when I would struggle to get money to put for cards. So Dreams of the Sphinx is a pretty staple card. Could probably do with more than one of them, and I love it for all of the different things it can do. In fact, every game when I play Dreams of the Sphinx, I try to use each one of its different things once. So this will be the turn I gain 1 extra from the edge. This will be the turn I gain 1 extra from into my transfers during my influence phase, and then I feel like 2 extra cards this round. But the acceleration is especially useful.
Yeah.
Now, Giant's Blood, it's just a card that you want to play so that nobody else plays the Giant's Blood. But also, it's great after a minion tap the following round, or after you get beaten down in a combat, the following round you can Giant's Blood. But it's probably not incredibly necessary in this deck. Information Highway and Zilla's Valley, very much necessary in this deck, since its average cap is above 9. Then Pentex Subversion for the block deny, and of course the controversial Pentex Subversion back in the 2000s. It was one of those decks one of those cards that just, when it hit the table, people hated it. It's like, oh, you've only got 1 minion? Well, that minion does nothing because it's got a Pentex on it.
Well, you're going to have to explain to me, and also maybe some of the other viewers, because I'm quite a baby in VTES terms. Did Pentex Subversion do something a little bit different back then?
Oh, it was so much more powerful when you couldn't do actions. Now it's still great, so now it's still included because you're blocking, you're denying the block. But back then, you could put it on a beast or an Enkidu or someone like that, and now they can't do the built-in rush. Or you put it on your Stanislava, and it's finished. It's over. Like if you don't get another minion out, if you can remove that Pentex, so you're going to start squabbling and asking the people across the table and giving them good reasons why they should come and remove the Pentex for you.
So you could still burn it as a D action.
Yeah, but not the person that you put it on, of course. And that rule is still there. So it's got to be removed by another minion, I think, right?
Any other minion.
Yeah, any other minion can come and burn it. So I would actually not include it in my decks when I'm playing socially. I would only put it in my deck when I played in a tournament.
Yeah, competitive. Because otherwise it just creates for not a lot of fun. Like I've got a friend who plays a brainwashing deck. And it kind of gives me similar vibes to that, where you can be like, great, I'm about to play cards, and then you just go, no, you're not going to play any cards, and you're not going to
try to bring out another minion.
Do anything.
Yeah. No, I've also played around with the brainwash deck. They're fun. Yeah,
of course. Cool. So those are the master cards. We've got some actions. We've got 8 in total, 4 Enchant Kindred and 4 Public Trust as well. So yeah, take us through these 2 cards. But then I've got a couple of questions to ask about this as well, because we are, of course, looking back at the past, but also the future of TES, as the clue is on the screen there. It might be going in a little bit of a different direction as well. So yeah, talk to me about these 2 cards, Skye.
Okay, well, these are pretty standard, at least from back then. And when I play Presence, or Stealth Bleed Presence, or whatever, I'll typically, even if I'm playing a Bruiser deck, I like to put Enchant Kindred in because of the superior early on in the game. That's more of your turbo. It's also an action that doesn't garner much hate from your prey, but your predator's likely to block it because you're bloating up with an extra 2, and you bring out a new minion sooner. But nevertheless, it's +1 bleed can be nice if you're doing the responsible bleeding thing. And then Public Trust, actually, legal manipulations and Public Trust are basically the same thing to me, but the Public Trust just goes straight more to the turboing out another minion aspect. So you don't have to waste an influence.
Yeah, really good for that acceleration.
Yeah. So, and then the +2 bleed, with an Alexandra that's doing a Public Trust and an Air Revelation, if that gets through and there's no Archon, there's somebody dead. Somebody's not making it through that.
Oh, big bleeds just make me so happy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive. And that's kind of what you want to keep as your power up punch. And if you can get one of those through, it's just very satisfying. Especially with Presence, because you're not using much stealth. You're waiting for somebody to be tapped out and run out on the Quivives or Wakes and things like that. And then you're like, okay, well, for my last action, I'll try Public Trust. Not going to be redirected or deflected, so on. Okay, there's the
very nice.
Air Revelation for +3. Yeah, so it's basically like a big domination, big dom as we call it here. Yeah, and then these other 2 new cards. I haven't even seen the new Salubri deck yet, so I'm very keen to get it. We don't have it in South Africa yet.
Yeah, we don't have it here in England yet either. I'm looking at certain players in Europe and they're opening their boxes, and I'm getting very jealous.
I already kind of have budgeted that I'm going to get at least 2 boxes of each of these things.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also with all this new Anarch stuff.
Yeah, and so I think the reason why I've highlighted these 2 cards in particular is because, well, obviously Public Trust is such a good card. It does that thing that we always want our superior thing to cards to do, which says as above and this and this and this as well.
Yes.
However, Feast of Soul's Secrets, yeah, of course it bleeds with +2 bleed, but also it's got that as above and add 2 blood to a younger vampire. So it's doing what Enchant Kindred does, and but not at stealth, to be fair. But it's also Salubri specific. But it's also adding 2 blood to a younger vampire. But then also requiring an Anarch would break the bonds. It's again doing some very similar stuff. So it's bleeding with +1 bleed. You are of course, if the bleed's successful, you can lock a minion controlled by the other Methuselah as well. And
this is from the new Ravnos deck, right?
Yeah. And then, if the bleed is successful, again, it's this similar theme going on with these particular cards, which is why I've kind of grouped them all together. That says, you can do that acceleration as well, except for Break the Bonds. Also doesn't cost any
Yeah.
pool or
No, it's
blood.
crazy. And this Anarch stuff that says you can use all of these things. More than one discipline can be used to play this card.
Oh yeah,
That's
can be,
crazy.
you can do all three all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would
So
say these, yeah, as you say, power creep, but very
yeah,
much
power creep.
specific to these clans. Now I wonder, because I watched your interview. I can't remember your friend's
With
name who plays that
James.
Ravnos. Is James? No, not
Yeah.
James. The Matahari, Dirty Harry.
Yeah, that's James. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is James. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
So
Shout out James.
um, so Matahari could essentially play Feast of Soul Secrets, and other people that have some kind of clan impersonation abilities could
Oh,
make use of that
that's
card,
nuts. Yeah.
right?
That's really powerful. And yeah,
Yeah.
and what I'm kind of wondering is, like, are these decks that we're playing at the moment, are they trying to do something which maybe these V5 decks will just do the same thing but slightly more powerful yet again? I don't know. I think one of the things, though, that this deck does retain, and I think this could be a quite important part of our meta in the future, is I think with the release of the new V5 things, there's a lot of cards in there that are independent. So I think actually votes become more powerful, because even if you've just got a prince, you might have the only votes at the table soon. And I think that, having cards that, can call votes might just, like, make them a bit more powerful just by sheer virtue of more independent vampires being thrown around. I'm not sure what you think there, Skye.
I've never been able to, or really never tried out making an independent vampire vote deck like some of the old, when it was still called Follows a Set Ministry vote decks were really powerful. I saw some tournament winning deck archive Ravnos ones that
Yeah.
did a Baltimore Purge type of thing. Um,
Ooh,
but
shiver at the thought of Baltimore
Camarilla's
Purge.
just always, to me, seems to be like, if you want to just play a competitive vote deck, play a Camarilla, like Inner
Yeah.
Circles and Justicars and stuff like that, and go with
Yeah,
that.
Banu
And not
Hakim more
and
recently
Banu
as
Hakim,
well.
because they've got all those princes now,
Yeah.
and all of these latest decks that we were coming out. We've even got a Toreador who's a Prince of Cape Town, Makokele.
Yes, cool. Well, you've got
He's
to get that into the tournament winning deck archive.
yeah, I've got he's somewhere over here behind me in my various decks. But
Yeah, do it. Love
uh,
that.
yeah, and
Oh,
then we've
that's
got
great.
an Anarch Baron of Johannesburg, which is quite funny. So it's quite nice to be on the scene. Plus, we've always had some Libon stuff as well that's based in South Africa. But that aside,
Yeah, but anyway, we'll carry on with the deck. But those hopefully just a good little discussion there about where the deck is going in the future, or where our game VTES is going in the future.
well, I think yeah,
These
Anarch
lessons
Vote
from the
is
past.
going to be strong. It is
Yeah,
strong. Yeah,
definitely, and definitely these Gangrel wall decks, with the Anarchs
yeah,
in them as well. They're going to be
yeah.
getting a little bit of a power boost. Not that they needed one, however, we're going to take the cards and run, right? Take the money and run.
I've got a bit
Well,
of a misgiving with wall decks when it comes to expedient play.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
for sure,
but
yeah,
I've got tons of wall decks myself. But like,
yeah.
yeah,
If you're a wall deck player, hurry up. Okay,
yes.
for
Also,
goodness sake.
multi action decks, please too.
Okay, guilty as someone who makes Stanislava take 6 actions a turn. But anyway, right. Action modifiers from the deck, Skye. Talk us
Okay.
through these.
So not a lot of air revelations, because you don't really want to clog your hand with them. They kind of be that like secret super missile you've got in your arsenal that you're only going to really play if you can guarantee you get it through. If you can sneak like even a weenie Toreador bringing through with superior presence is going to get +3 with the air revelation. So I didn't like. I could maybe go back and cut out some public trusts and put more air revelations in, but I like the idea of having like, oh, here's an action, you want to block it so that you can get into the fights and do the crocodile's tongue thing and the change of target thing, and not just like have it come through. So yeah, balancing is a bit funny here, and I could probably change these ratios.
Yeah, but it also kind of it all fits within the old theme of the deck, which I really loved how you put it earlier, Skye, which is, with this deck, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
If you fail to block, you lose. If you block, you also lose. So
that's the
it's
idea.
great.
Yeah.
I've just got some cards in focus here as well.
Yeah, those first two are the combo. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of combos in here. Voter captivation as well is just so
Very
good
essential.
in this deck. Really good
so
in this deck.
Together, voter cap together with like your telepathic misdirection is how you deal with a stealth bleed, or if you're getting power bled, you can hopefully, like in your turn, be like, oh, I'm on 2. Oh wait, I'm actually on 10.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe not that extreme, but I mean, your vampire gets built up, and next thing another minion tap. Because if you're the only vote deck on the table, which is very seldom in a tournament, but yeah,
Oh, I've experienced that a lot. Like even in the current meta, like I've more often than not been the only person with votes at the table. Don't have to do any negotiating. So with this, it's so powerful when you get to your turn, you can minion tap for all but like 1, minion tap for 10, sure, and then voter cap after a vote and just get
100%.
all of that blood back immediately. It's like getting 2 victory points.
Yes, it's a beautiful feeling. I always just like I just say to my friends, watch this, and then I do it, so they know it's going to happen. But yeah, I always just feel like using presence is just so glorious.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, there's some of those cards in focus there. Also, a couple of hybrid cards in there. Resist Earth's Grasp, going to be quite important.
Just that one.
To get the actions through.
Tiny bit of stealth
as well. And so these are the political actions. Now, this is so interesting to me as someone who plays a vote and bleed deck primarily. There's some cards in here which I think are missing, I guess.
Sure.
Where. So just educate me, please, because
there's no parity shifts.
Reigns of Power. No,
Reigns of
we
Power,
all know I don't like parity shift, but like Reigns of Power. What are the other
that could be Reigns of Power. Sorry, what was the other one?
Reigns of Power, Ancient Influence, and what's the last one? I'm gonna go.
I think I've got one here. I know what you're talking about. The one that you can only play once per game.
Yeah. Oh, get it in the comments before we do.
Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about. I don't have it here.
Yeah, once per game vote Vitas. Political Stranglehold?
That's it.
Yeah, there it is. Yes. We're not completely.
I've got this awesome book full of cards as well here.
Oh, lovely. Very cool.
Yeah, this one. So, Political Stranglehold. Yeah. Each Methuselah gains 3 pull for each vampire above 7. That should be in here for sure. Okay. Look, I was kind of
I was just wondering, like, was it out, or did you just not have any copies to hand?
Or... I think I had at least 1 copy of those other 2 cards you mentioned. But for some reason, brain fog or something,
But there are a couple of interesting votes in here. Like, I had to look up 2 of these, so I've never seen the main challenge before, and I've never seen Camarilla or Exemplary either.
So these go way back for me, like back in my initial bunch of VTES cards. These are from Jihad. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. And from Vampire, the Eternal Struggle first game.
It's the name of the set.
And I used to love playing things that tap all of, I think it's Consanguineous Condemnation, followed by Domain Challenge. And it would work really well on a weenie deck. And I mean, now I think you can do Ancilla Empowerment or Anarchist Revolt. No, Anarchist Uprising. Something like that. That does 1 for every minion you have. But this one was kind of when you've only got a couple of ancient vampires out and somebody else has several small ones. It's just a bit of a breath of fresh air compared to kind resources, which you just feel like you're playing always. There's a kind resources, kind resources, kind of. Guess what?
Yeah.
But another kind resources.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Camarilla exemplary though goes together
Damned
with
if you do,
crocodile's tongue.
damned if you don't.
Exactly. So if you manage to put a camera, and they stack, so you can have more than one
Yeah, they
Camarilla
do.
exemplary on your vampire, and if you get blocked,
Oh, it's not
that
unique. I have only just noticed that. Yeah.
yeah, that
Very
vampire
cool.
attempting to block burns as many blood, and then there's a crocodile tongue, and they have to burn some more blood, and then there's an aching beauty, so they're burning a pool anyway. So do they just let the vampire through a revelation? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's quite fun.
Yeah.
And then, of
Brilliant.
course, Ancient Influence, and there's other two cards we just mentioned, Reigns of Power and Political Stranglehold. They would be worthwhile in here, and I would probably not really change much in the votes. Maybe replace the Domain Challenge and maybe one Camarilla Exemplary, but I would probably look for space elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of course. So yeah, that's the votes, and then we've got some combat cards. We've got 8 Majesty and 3 Side Slip. I do like Side Slip as a card because sometimes you do get those moments where you can't get out of a combat, or someone plays a grapple card,
Exactly.
and so you do want to be able to dodge sometimes, and sometimes you want to be able to prevent damage, like with those little ag poke decks.
Ivory Bow or just
Yeah,
a single
exactly.
protein ag strike or something like that. The Side Slip was quite handy. Yeah, they're one of the, at least in the Cape Town Mets, it's like, where are your side slips? Like, I was taught at a young age to always have a few side slips if I'm playing Celerity. and Resist Death's Grasp when eventually that came out. Majesty is our little way of getting repeat actions in.
Yeah.
So we'll go, I'm going to do an action, and then like what we call in our local group is it's a dummy action. So I'm bleeding you with a public trust. Dummy action.
Yeah.
And then they blocked it. They block the dummy action, you Majesty untap, and then you follow up with a Kine and a Voda Cup.
And here's my like big once per game votes. Yeah, this was the real plan. Yeah, love that. Obviously
or
it
you
does
just
cost the pool. It's no earth meld. I'm gonna say it's no earth meld, but it's still
it
very
smells
good.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere
But
back here, I've got your lovely.
Oh, there she is. Yes, the 25th anniversary. Shout out Martin Wainmayer.
I love reading his blogs.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff.
Just
I learn a
a
lot.
quick plug. Go follow Martin Wainmayer on Facebook. He's always got.
He actually wrote some of the decks that are in this book.
Yeah, of course, and he's also been experimenting recently with some of the new V5 decks. He's really getting ahead of the curve, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with. But
Amazing.
Your deck is also a deck that you can't just let everything fly around you. You're not just going forward. Sometimes you are trying to block as well. So we've got some reaction cards in here on the QEV, Second Tradition Domain, and of course Telepathic Misdirection as well.
Yeah. Could probably do with more telepathic misdirections, depending on the meta that we're in. There's that new tournament rule where you can change your cards between games now, or to some extent you can switch your deck.
Yeah, that's going to be strange.
I don't know. But it's going to be weird when everybody's doing that, and you then actually don't know what you're building, what you're preparing yourself for, because somebody could just switch archetype completely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, me and PJ had, Captain Thalco, who is often the co-host on the show. We were talking about how tournaments should stipulate before the start of the tournament whether they will be allowing multi-decking, because then, if we're running a tournament, we might just say, no, just bring the one deck. That's the deck that you're playing. I kind of
once.
Yeah. Go on,
we once had a 2-deck tournament here, and I didn't know if it was an official thing or not, whether we could do that. And one of our players got really crapped on because he just changed a few cards between a game, and he's like, no, it's a completely different deck now. So, it's how to deal with it is a curious issue.
Yeah, it really is one of those where it's got its benefits, of course, but it's also got its negatives, and also like how far can we take it? Like there was another episode, by the way, if people haven't checked it out, go and check it out, where PJ, Auntie, and Tommy they talk about the idea of Asher tablets being nerfed, Emerald Legionnaire being nerfed, and also this multi-decking thing, and they do unpack that in quite some detail. So yeah, check it out.
Bill Troxel, we're looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be. That's it for your deck, though.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that deck thinking it's quite powerful. Like in some ways, Vites has changed a lot, and in some ways it hasn't changed at all. This Aiken Beauty-esque strategy has been around for a while, hasn't it? So, tell us about your deck, and how does this deck look these days from 2009?
So these days, okay, right now I've got a kind of a friendly version of a group 2 and 3 crypts that runs very similarly to it.
You're too nice, by the way. But the fact that you have a friendly version of your deck to play your casual games with, it's just so nice. You must be the best person alive.
Oh, no.
Because like in our play group, we all just say, "I'm here to kill you," and I'm here to kill you dead.
Well, I'm trying to bring people in and to teach them stuff.
You're trying to make sure people don't have an awful time.
But at the same time, like that's with my very local inner circle, so to speak. But like the newbies that are opening and cracking open these new starters and starting with that's already like a benchmark. And my decks don't always match up to those levels. And I will have to, like if I'm playing a social that's out of my inner circle, then I will have to, bring something that punches a bit harder.
Yeah, you're gonna bring the noise. Yeah,
like I've got an unnamed deck that's like very scary with these Unleash Hell's Furies and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I love Gangrel Anti-Tribute a little bit more than regular Gangrel, and I love
Blasphemy.
I love Amaranthing people to dust as much as possible. It's like one of my hobbies. And have the vote of power on my side, and that's and unnamed has
I'm building
that
a deck
vibe.
at the moment with Amaranth in it.
Yes,
to be able to it's like a Hunger and Marduk deck. So because what I'm doing is I'm always stealing the blood. I'm not doing damage.
Yeah.
So the issue that I find is like how do I hit that last one little bit of damage to send them to torpor? Well, the perfect way around it, Amaranth. If you reduce to 0, bye. So yeah.
Oh no, that's
not Amaranth. Anathema. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, no. You can still do that with the Banu Hakim and all their votes. You can still just have that final.
Which one's
quickness
Amaranth? I'm gonna have to look this up.
Amaranth is Diablerie during combat. So you ag poke them, they go to torpor. Instead of them going to torpor, you just diablerize them there and there, and you get a blood hunt called on you. But if you're playing with the votes lock, you'll be safe. And like Adonna Desosa, who's that 11 cap Bruiser, who's basically also a Gangrel anti-tribute because she can do the what's it? That celerity protein multi-action thing. You know it. The Stanislav
Force March?
Not the Force March. I think she can't Force March, but the other one, the protein celerity one.
Force March. Freak Drive.
Oh, just a second.
Force March. Instantaneous transformation.
That's it. Yeah, let me just grab this. So here's
so
I know we just distracting
my very small brain. Yeah.
Yeah. So Adonna Desosa, together with a bunch of Gangrel anti-tributes, can do this good old instantaneous transformation. And next thing, you've got multi-acts with Rush, with Amaranth, with Wolf Claws and Claws of the Dead and stuff, and whatever else. I'm sure you can find ways to do aggravated damage. Anyway, so that's actually what most people know me to bring to the table. So when I bring something that's not that, it's like It's a surprise.
Spicy. Yeah. It's like when I show up with something other than Stanislava, like people like literally have a heart attack. But anyway. But Skye, I've got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today.
Ditto. Yeah.
That is it for our episode. But just to reiterate, if people do want to get in touch with myself or Skye, you can do so. Find us on the VTES Facebook groups, and especially if you are around Cape Town or Johannesburg, get in touch as well. If you're a VTES player, or even if you're just like a Magic player who's just sick of it and you want to play
Anywhere
an
in South
actually good
Africa,
game.
come to Cape Town.
Yeah, exactly. And get in touch with Skye. Skye will welcome you, and Skye will even play a friendly version of her deck. Like that's just how nice Skye is, and we'll certainly welcome you there as well. Skye, you got any final thoughts for us that you'd like to end with?
Oh.
Last piece of advice from someone who's been playing from 2009 all the
Oh,
way up
yes, I
until now.
do.
Like, where do you think the game is going, or
Well, piece of
what have we
advice
learned?
first. For anybody who's coming into Vampire, you've got to be a good loser. Because sometimes you'll have 4 people hating on you for an hour.
Yeah.
As for where the game is going and things like that, I'm just looking forward to whatever comes out, and I'm hoping that the Vampire the Masquerade stays true to the story, and we get to carry on seeing awesome developments there, and some returns of the Sabbat and the return of the Liban, especially being an African. Of course, there's been this flood of Anox, and that's great. But we're waiting for some of those other sects to make a showing again.
Great. Well, Skye, thank you so much. You've been an absolute dream to interview, and thank you again for showing us your deck. For the watchers at home, if you've enjoyed the episode, do leave us a little like. Do have a little comment. If you've got any questions for Skye, we often do see Skye in the comments as well. And and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. But until then, bye-bye, Methuselahs, and we will see you next time.